Okay, here we are again with the Airing It Out podcast, and I must say it is an absolute privilege because today we have our very first guest, Brandon Waine.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I've been saying to you earlier, I'm that balance between nervousness and excitement. It's exciting because I'm looking forward to this. We're taking steps in the right direction. We're doing what we should be doing, what we want to be doing for the podcast, but yeah, scary.
Yeah, no, it's great stuff what you're doing here. It's
What's it been like for you with these? We were strangers, being like, oh, we're doing this show about mental health, or I want to come bring you on, and it's been quite a long time since we had that first conversation.
Early this year, wasn't it?
Pretty much. It was the strangest set of circumstances. Yeah, that day was when I knew that this podcast was the right, because it was almost like a sign. Because I had this conversation with the woman. She told me, you should do a podcast. And I actually know this guy because Harry,
yeah,
just Harry,
yeah,
is a mutual acquaintance and is the son of this person.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
And so she was like, you should check him out. And in between seeing her and work that evening, I went and had a look at your videos, and I thought, oh my God, this is it. I could speak to this guy. We're both kind of on the same wavelength about mental health, and we're both wanting to do something and champion for better mental well-being. And yeah, on the way to work that evening, I was like, this is right. This is what I should be doing. It's scary. Still scares me. This is right. We should be doing this. And that belief was just unwavering. I knew that it was it. And so what happens a couple hours later at work?
Yeah.
You walk through the door.
I get a few beers or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember what it was.
I think it was a few beers.
Or cookies. Or...
Yeah. But I was saying to myself, oh my God, like this, like the opportunity doesn't come knocking any more obvious than this.
And I felt like a bit like a celebrity as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm Brandon.
Yeah, I thought the old me would just let you walk right on past, maybe give you a message sometime, but no.
No, I do appreciate you coming up to me and having that chat, and I appreciate being here as well. It's a brilliant opportunity, and it's good for me to kind of get my voice out there. And I've been wanting to sort of do this for years, and having a platform now with this podcast is just a fantastic opportunity.
It's an absolute pleasure to give that to you. Something that's been really assuring to me is, since we've started picking up a bit of momentum, is that you've kind of shared the same kind of energy as me. Like when you started seeing that this isn't bullshit or, smoke and mirrors anymore, this is actually happening, you were quite receptive to that and you were excited by that. And that gave me the reassurance that this is someone who is like-minded like me, who is also feeling this way towards doing this kind of thing. And yeah, that really helped.
I think it's just so important. Speaking about this stuff, it really is.
Making that, you got to be the difference that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And if that means doing the hard things and making it happen, then that's what we've got to do. And yeah, I'm overwhelmingly grateful that you're the same kind of individual and that we're doing. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and why are you here today talking to me about mental health?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Brandon. Where do you want me to begin? Sort of
in your own words. I mean, we'll be talking about it in a bit. So if you want to do like a bit of a brief thing, or if you wanted to give a little bit longer.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so my name's Brandon. I've struggled with sort of depression, anxiety for many years of my life. I sort of got diagnosed with depression, I think about 12, 13 years old.
Really? I
was quite young, yeah. And I'd say still have quite bad anxiety sometimes.
Yeah.
When I go into university, I still get my heart racing kind of thing. But I think luckily nowadays I'm on the other end of that, and I've managed to sort of come out of that throughout my teenage years.
Yeah, it's like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Making your way towards it.
Yeah, and I think I'm by no means perfect. I still have days and weeks where I still feel really shit about stuff, but definitely on the other end of that kind of stuff. I spend a lot of my time now, I'm a student at university, to do software engineering, so computer code and stuff like that, pretty nerdy stuff. And I do voluntary work, so I actually work at a youth club local to me, and just sort of give as much of my wisdom as I can to the youngsters there.
Just quickly, what made you want to do that?
I think growing up, I never really had many role models when I was a kid. I didn't look at anyone and say, I want to be that guy, you know. And I think when I've grown up, I wish that a lot of young men and women, young people, had a role model that I needed growing up. And that's kind of why I want to do it. I want to step in there and be like, for them to say, oh, where's Brandon? I want him to tell me about this, or I want him to ask me about my week. And, you know, when I'm at the youth club, I tend to say to them, like, what do you want to do? How are you going to get there? What makes you happy? What are you passionate in? You know, what are your hobbies?
Yeah.
Ask them these questions, make them think about it, and also say, there's nothing stopping you from getting that. You know, you've got all the power to do these things.
I love that, man. You're giving those kids the direction that you wanted in your life, but yeah, I can't imagine how much it's doing for them.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I know they do appreciate it, you know, when I'm not there, they're like, oh, where's Brandon? So it's cool. And obviously I do other bits as well. I did an event called January Blues, which was a sort of a more men's mental health event.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty good. But the nerves are kicking in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's real now.
Hopefully we'll cross the threshold.
Yeah. I can get comfortable. We were chatting before and I was pretty fine, but now the camera's on.
Honestly, yeah, like that's why I sent Brandon a message saying, just to let you know, there's not a whole lot that you need for this interview, but just make sure your screenwear isn't like a big baggy hoodie, because I noticed it. I went on a radio when I was at uni, but as soon as you, like with the podcast as well, as soon as you hit that record button, your temperature goes.
Sweat.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
But it's okay. We'll just work our way through it, and no pressure, no fuss, no stress, no.
Yeah, because I'm quite camera shy anyway.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've never done anything like this. So.
And yeah, like having a conversation with one thing is one thing. Having cameras, lights, people, wires, it's a bit nerve wracking, but yeah, hopefully we'll just ease into it and it'll be all right, a lot better. Okay, so we got some talking points which you sent towards me, and I think we'll talk through some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at the first one. Okay, so this is going to be rock bottom and your turning point. So talk to me a little bit about what rock bottom meant to you, what rock bottom is, and what yours was.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I struggled a lot from early, probably teenager, from 13, 12, I struggled a lot with my mental health. I definitely felt very purposeless growing up.
Yeah.
I'd actually often say to my mum and my parents, I'd say, you know, out of all of the people that could have been born on this world, why was I born?
Yeah.
You know, there could have been people that cured cancer or, you know, cured Alzheimer's or was a really nice person and did loads for charity and stuff. And I always questioned, even from 13 years old, why I was born out of all those people.
That's some heavy shit to be kind of tackling at that kind of age.
100%. Yeah, I had a lot of existential questions about life, and I really struggled with that sort of growing up. You know, I didn't have many mates either, and I struggled sort of socially, so that probably contributed to this as well. But it got to a stage where I'd moved out. I think I was just about to turn 18 and moved out of my house and got my own flat, local. And yeah, I remember I was working in telecommunications and sales, and it was just, I didn't really enjoy it. It was quite intense. Again, I still have a lot of questions about my purpose and why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, why am I on this earth? What am I meant to do? A lot of these questions. And in sort of 2019, it was actually a few days before my birthday, it got to a state where I was just generally just sick of that feeling that you get inside of you.
Can you tell me, like you mentioned the existential kind of question and not kind of feeling your place, but what other elements of your life kind of brought you to that place? Like what were the thoughts in your head?
Yeah. I think a lot of my childhood, I gave up quite easily. Didn't really have much of a push. And I can't blame that on anyone else, but that was just what I was like. You know, I had a lot of jobs I've had a lot of jobs. I've probably had like 35 jobs, 40 jobs, yeah. I always got bored. I've always had a drive to do more, but I just didn't have maybe the confidence to stick things out. You know, I've been to college 4 times. And
so you were searching for that meaning?
Yeah, 100%. So I was still searching for it, but I just really struggled to find out where that is.
Grasp on something.
Yeah. And I know I wanted to do more, but I also didn't have the belief that I could. So it was a really hard battle. I had that for many years growing up.
And if it's not something that improves, then it's not exactly something that gets better, is it?
Yeah, no, yeah. Precisely.
Even if it's something that stays at the same level, that's still agonizing on the day to day.
Yeah, I think it's difficult though, because the world is complicated. You're a teenager, you've got a lot of hormones going on. I understand that. And then also you've got the influence of sort of online presence and social media. And I know that doesn't help at all. You know, everyone knows that. So I kind of was very lost with what job I wanted to do, who I was, what I valued as a person, who I want to hang out with, and what I want to do for work and everything. I was just a very lost soul. And obviously I know that's not me. I think it was just, you know, mental health and my surroundings potentially, but I struggle with that a lot. And I think it got to a point where the thought of not existing and not having to deal with those emotions and those feelings was a better alternative to just existing in that place where you're purposeless and you have this kind of constant emotional thought patterns and that voice in your head that's kind of telling you, you're not good enough, you can't do this.
You're going 100 miles an hour, but you're not going anywhere.
Precisely, yeah. Yeah. So that, it got quite a lot for me back in the flat. It was a 1-bed flat, so I lived alone, essentially. So coming home in the evenings and not really having to be able to socialise and stuff like that didn't help.
Got no one to share with or talk
to. Yeah. And also I wasn't great at talking. So I am now.
Yeah.
But back then I really wasn't.
I think that's a particular problem for young men. It's like you've got these ideas of masculinity and these ideas of purpose and striving for something, but no one teaches you how to be sensitive.
Yeah.
No one teaches you how to be open and communicate. It's very much, you're a man, you get on with it.
Yeah.
You make it happen, you make it work regardless. And if not, then you're weak. You're not able to do it. You're not able to survive or get on in this world. So you're like, right, talking and sharing doesn't really seem like a valuable option.
No, yeah, until it's, you know, gets to the point where you just can't take it anymore.
Keep it in anymore.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely a huge issue. I think I see a lot on the internet at the moment about it does my absolute nutting, but it really makes me angry. But you see a lot at the moment about men saying, I just need to man up and all this.
I thought we'd gotten past that.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's working backwards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, there's half people saying, you know, you need to speak out and you need to get these things out. And the other half saying you need to man up.
And you need to grind.
Go to the gym and
grind, go to the gym. Yeah.
Which is, I think there's a balance. I think it's important if you're in that state, not to do nothing, essentially.
Yeah.
So just to sit in your room and not go out or not speak or not just make your bed in the morning. People won't even do that. And I get that because I've been there, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have a bit of structure in your day and do sometimes the things you don't want to do, but also to speak about stuff to whoever you can and explain what you're going through.
I've been getting that recently. Like this past week, I've had 4 things going on in my life. Like I made one of my mindful moments. Hopefully you'll be having seen that by the time this goes up. I've got 4 things going on, 4 new things which are really kind of bringing in new change. They're all really important to me, so I really want to do them well and I want to do them right. One of them is, of course, the podcast.
Yeah.
The interview is just gone live. One of them's the fire service. One of them's work. I've got more responsibility. And I've literally been doing what we've been saying. Like, I feel like because this is my journey, it's my path, I should be the one dealing with it. And it came to a bit of a boiling point where I couldn't really hack it anymore. I was trying so hard. I knew it was coming. Trying so hard to balance everything and to stay on top of things. But it got to the point where it was my mum and dad who said, you need to sit down. You need to talk to us. You need to communicate. Like, even now, like, I'm far better than I was, but I still need to communicate. I still need to talk. Still need to lean on people.
I think everyone does.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a fool's errand to think that a man can take on the world by himself. Even the greatest man has somebody that he has to lean on. Yeah,
100%. I think there's a lot of stuff I see on social media about sort of the hustle culture and that kind of, I'd say probably toxic masculinity.
The grind set.
Yeah, the productivity. And that is great, but
that's like
you're only human.
Yeah, it's like giving yourself the idea that the extreme of that is the only way you succeed is by taking it to the extreme.
Yeah. I mean, I've been through that as well. You know, after only probably a few years ago, I was exactly the same. I was looking at these people, like fascinating people that I loved, like David Goggins and that kind of, you know, that idea of masculinity was really appealing. Yeah. So I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going out for runs, you know. I remember running in my eye bags going as well, you know. But, and that is great, but also there's always a balance.
You've got to have it.
Because then I was getting 5 hours sleep a night and I was feeling rubbish at 11 a.m. and then that doesn't obviously help your mental health either.
Yeah. When I was like that, I was facing like bi-weekly burnouts.
Yeah.
So I'd try something new, burn out completely, then be like, fuck, right, got to start again, try something else, burn out. But the moment you just make that decision and you see it slowing it down, taking your time, smelling the flowers. I know it's cliche.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. Just like when I'm eating food, I sometimes, you're doing things mindfully. They taught me to this when I was growing up, and I've never appreciated it until now. And it's just going out, having a walk without music. You're not going anywhere, but just looking around and looking like, you know, that's a cool, look at that building. That's
completely cool. Present in where you are. Like letting all your senses engage with the world around you. Yeah, walking has been massive for me. Like this morning, crack of dawn, get up, take the dog out and just use that as a form of meditation in itself.
Yeah, 100%,
Be a part of the world and connect with the world around you before going off and doing what you need to do.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Massively beneficial.
But I'll bring it back to the
Okay. So let's have a look. Okay. How did you see the world before you got to your rock bottom and your turning point versus what was your perception like after?
Okay, so did you want me to talk about my turning point? Is that something you want me to share? Because I'm more than happy to.
Please do.
Okay, so and the rock bottom, that sort of stuff as well.
The second point, I'm pretty sure, is what you're referring to, but if it happens, it happens. Talk about it as you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, 2019 really got to a really low point in my life, and I attempted to take my own life, and it was in my flat, and I'm very fortunate to be here today. I had about 5 minutes left before I wouldn't be here. I was lucky enough that by fate, like we said, you know, before, I think it was before the podcast or the start, my mum randomly came to drop something in my house, and she managed to sort of break in the window and resuscitate me. So I'm very, very fortunate. And from that day, really, something switched. And I knew that if I didn't have a purpose, then I wouldn't be here. I'm not religious, you know, I'm very much open to the idea of religion, but fate, maybe that is real, you know.
The hope for something being there is what I'm out for.
Yeah. So I think even if it isn't, you know, whatever, in my head, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go with it.
It's like, if you get to the end of this road and there isn't anything there, just by kind of living as though there was something there.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at how much you've done.
Yeah. So from that, I spent a sort of couple of days in hospital and recovered and stuff. And it was weird. After it happened, I was obviously very confused, but I just felt different.
Yeah.
I just felt like no, you're not going yet. This is your goal. This is what you need to do. It's your time
it's
now.
like you tried that option and it didn't work.
And thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the questions I was going to ask you was, what was that experience like to you? Like, I wrote at the end of this question, feel, and then crossed it out because, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're in that position in your life, I think you're far beyond the point of feeling anything.
Yeah, I think, it's a great question. I think it was very much, I had everything in my head negative, everything that I could think of all at once.
Yeah.
Very hopeless. I think hopelessness is probably the best word to describe the feeling that nothing's ever going to get better in your life. And also I very much struggled with sort of blaming myself for a lot of the stuff that I went through as a kid. And so I very much, took the blame myself for things that were out of my control that maybe I didn't have any kind of influence on. That was really difficult. So I almost felt like I deserved it. Like, you are the problem and I need to get rid of the problem.
Yeah.
And
if you cause the problem, then you're also responsible for the solution.
100%. Yeah. And I think I've struggled with that a lot, is that giving myself a bit of slack and giving myself a bit of credit for the things I've done. I'm very, very hard on myself. Nothing's ever good enough.
Me too.
I noticed when you were talking about sort of burnout, and I have exactly the same thing, right? Whereas, if I get up half an hour late or something, it's the end of the world. Why have you done that, Brandon? Come on, you need to be better than that. I'm very, very, very hard.
Hold yourself to a very high standard.
Especially with uni as well, it makes it very difficult. Because I never think anything's good enough, so I end up working till the last hour of the assignment when I literally have to submit it, and I'm still not happy. So I think that's one thing I've been trying to work on the last few years, is give myself a bit of credit, give myself a bit of slack, and kind of self-love. So important. But yeah, I mean, from that day in 2019, I looked horrific, so I was a bit scared to go outside and stuff.
Yeah.
My eyes were completely sort of bloodshot. So it was very difficult. I remember where I used to live, a guy was like, I always remember this. He was like, have you got contacts in or something? And I wasn't even speaking to him. I was speaking to some other guy at the bus stop. And he was like, I've got contacts in. I was so sick of answering the question of like, no, I tried to take my life. And avoiding that question, saying, oh no, I've just had an allergic reaction or something like that. I just told this guy like I've been depressed as fuck and I just tried to take my life. And this other guy at the bus stop was like, no, don't lie about that. Don't.
Really?
Yeah, I never said anything, but that again is kind of stuck by me for a long time. It's just really annoyed me. But sort of after that point, it's not been an easy journey. But I've just been trying to be on the mend and doing these things and trying everything, meditation and exercise and lots of different things.
Slow journey up the mountain.
I wouldn't say it's been sort of a single point where it's turned.
No.
I think it's been a gradual thing. And I think that is true with a lot of us.
I found that about readiness recently. Like, something that I've learned is all these things that you're building up to, never one day you're going to wake up and like a switch is flicked. You're not going to be ready.
Yeah.
It's almost like the accumulation of everything that you do on the journey to get to that point. You start not ready, but you become it. And it's very much like that with building your way back up, building that momentum, keeping on going and keeping on pushing.
Momentum's, I think, a massive thing.
Steady progress. Yeah.
Little 1%.
1%.
Have you read Atomic Habits? Read that?
My man over here.
Yeah. That is a brilliant book. Fantastic. Talks a lot about. Do you know much about it?
I haven't read it.
So it's just essentially about these little 1% changes that you can do every day.
Yeah.
And this is what I've tried to incorporate into my life. So things like you get up and you do everything you do in a normal day, but you just make your bed nice.
Yeah.
Get the nice little pillows and whack them down, and maybe get that little thing that goes on the end of the bed. You know, the kind of blanket.
Yeah.
Do that. You know, like a hotel.
Yeah.
And then after a month of doing your bed every day, just do something else. Maybe, you know, get some nice face scrub. Do your face every morning.
Like do something nice for yourself at the start of the day.
Just little 1% things. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to be going out for runs at 5 o'clock in the morning and
you don't have to completely break yourself.
Instead of like eating protein shakes with 8 bananas in and all that. You know, you can just little things
be kind
every
to
day.
yourself and
100%.
like that. Yeah.
Makes an awful lot of difference.
I know Jordan Peterson speaks about making your bed at the start of the day, but I think that's more motivated behind motivation itself. So that's something that you do. You've done that. Now you can move on to something else.
Yeah, 100%.
I like the idea of doing it positively for yourself.
Yeah.
And giving yourself something to enjoy and enjoy the process of doing it. I like that.
100%.
Right. I'm going to have another look over here. Okay. Right. So when you came through to the other side of your turning point, what were some of the things that you can remember? Some of the smallest, maybe minor, maybe massive things which ended up making the biggest difference to you in the long run?
Okay.
Feel free to have a drink or anything. I'll get in a bit.
I think the sort of the bed, those little 1% habits made quite a bit of difference. Keeping my space clean and tidy. Yeah. So my room, Jordan Peterson also mentions that a lot, that you keep your sort of room clean.
Very much so. Like there have been studies behind how, we need to try to reference this. There have been studies about how a person's living space can be very reflective of their mental space as well. So even in the way that someone decorates their room or someone keeps their room, if it's messy. Yeah. And again, I got that recently, like everything's manic at the moment. You look at my living spaces and you think, it's about that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it can be very reflective in upkeeping your living spaces to having that sense of clarity, sense of purpose and being on top of things as well. So
and I think if you know where things are, one thing that's massively changed, I'm very structured now and very organised. Not in a too much
like a forceful,
compulsive way, but I'm very much, I like to put things in my calendar so I know when things are going. When I get paid, I make a budget. Just having a bit of structure in your life, you know. I've got a marble sort of tray thing where I put all my keys and my wallet in when I come home. Just, I know it's only silly, but then I always know where my keys and wallet are.
Yeah, it's contradictory in saying it, but having those little disciplines, having those little structures, having those little kind of rules, they're not so much rules, but ways that you do things, gives you freedom.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, I've learned that recently, that discipline gives you freedom. And that sounds so strange, but if you tick all your boxes, if you get everything done, if you do things right by yourself, get all the shit out the way first, then you can be free. Then, like, eating a certain diet gives you freedom for so much more else. And on that day that you do want to, you can really kind of make the most of the other side of that discipline. Yeah, no, 100%. I think people underestimate a lot of these things as well. Sort of the diet. People underestimate that a lot. I mean, my skin from not eating sugar and, you know, that kind of is so much better. You know, I had very bad acne growing up. But just not eating sugar, and my sleep is a lot better. Just not eating after 9 p.m. You know, not going downstairs and making crave at 2 o'clock in the morning like I would do, you know. Having good sleep,
those little things that people go,
they're like little investments.
Yeah.
It's the delayed gratification that you're doing for yourself in a bit, but it makes all the difference.
No, 100%. Yeah, I think makes more of a difference. And those are also the 1%. You know, maybe just getting up, going to bed an hour earlier so you get good amount of sleep. It's not hard, but it's just little 1%, and all these things they accumulate, yeah, and they build together.
Compound.
Yeah, compound. That's the one. That's the word I was looking
for. Okay, so I think we'll move on to the second part.
Yeah, cool.
Ooh, okay. What was the final straw for you? What was the thing or things which broke the camel's back?
Okay.
Where was the line?
Yeah. I remember, you know, on at that point, I had a couple of, it was 2 girls actually, and they just hated me from back home, and they would come to my flat and just knock on my door, knock and run and stuff. And I've never told anyone this, by the way, so this is the first kind of time. I think there's a lot of stigma surrounding that as well, kind of. But it was just these 2 girls, and they'd wait outside for me at work and shout abuse at me and throw stuff at me. And I had to sort of deal with that alongside my mental health and what I was going through. Yeah, so remember they came on that night. Actually, it was a Sunday. I remember it well. They came to my flat, and I was really upset, very crying a lot. Yeah. And I remember them just putting stuff, smashing my windows, and putting stuff through my windows and stuff. And that, on top of a lot of the other stuff that I had going on, was just too much.
It's just anxiety, it's grief.
Yeah. So now I can't even go home and relax.
Not feeling
can't even go in my space and relax.
If you're having trouble figuring out where you are in the world and feeling safe and secure in the world, then you can't afford that in your own home either.
No, 100%.
Must be fucking awful.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I'd like to say also that I don't hold grudges against these people. Yeah. You know, we're all young. I think it's important to forgive the people that do these things, because otherwise I'll just live out the next 50 years of my life holding that grudge.
It'll stick with you.
That's just not healthy.
Yeah.
You know, they're young. Maybe they won't get anywhere in life. I don't really care, but I'm not going to see them again.
Maybe they were escaping something.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think it's very important to have perspective.
It's good that
because I could sit here and I could slag them off and say all these things, but no, I've probably made people feel like shit before as well.
Yeah,
that's just how it is. So I don't ever blame them for that, but I do feel like that was definitely a tipping point.
Yeah.
For me.
It's just the cherry on top of it, on top of the depressing cake.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Where
Excellent
did that come
metaphor.
From? Yeah.
Yeah. Someone get that quoted.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right. Let's have a look. Yeah. Oh, we kind of touched on that one. Okay. So, I'll give you a second.
Thanks. Over trying mouth.
So, say somebody at home is listening now, and say that person has been heading towards, or is heading towards, the path that you were on. What kind of things would you tell them? How would you address that person who was facing those problems? How would you address your former self?
I think, great quote I heard. I don't know exactly.
We can pull it up.
It talks about, you can't get better if you're not here, right? So if I you know, you can't be happy if you don't exist. You know, things aren't going to get better if you're dead. And I think if you're getting to that point, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's cliche. I heard it so many times when I was in this position. But you know, it's just so important. And also, you wouldn't believe how loved you are. There's a lot of people that do love you, and you're not aware of it, but there are.
Yeah.
And you would be missed if it got to that stage where, you know, with me personally. So I just think it's, I've become very sort of philosophical in a way after that as well. I think we're given an opportunity on planet Earth out of all of the different things that could have happened, we're born. And we have a short time frame to live on planet Earth, and experience these things and do things like this and talk to people. And we're lucky enough to be conscious to know about this and know how our brain works and understand things, you know. And we've got a very short window where we can experience that. And I would never want anyone to waste that moment, that window, and cut that window off early. Because life is, you know, it's just cool. You know, we're just a little like water rock floating around the universe. Yeah. You know, we might be the only things in the universe. So I never want anyone to feel like they're, you know, that's too much for them. And, you know, that's, if I had to set up a call centre with just me in, just so people could phone me, you know, if they're at that point, I really would. And I do it for a lot of my mates. I try my best to sort of speak to them. And because I never, ever want someone to go through what I had to go through ever again. You know, I just think, yeah, it just makes me so sad. It just gets to me. I see a lot of these lads, I just want to go and give them a hug and be like, it's all right, man. Like, and if I could, I'd say, come with me, let's fly over to Spain for a week, or let's go on a hike. Let's go to like different country, a hot country, or go up a mountain. Just come with me. Let's forget about everything. If I had the money to do it with every, you know, person going through, every man going through some stuff at the moment, I really would. Because I want people to see the beauty in life. And I know how hard that is when you're in that position.
But you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
You're doing something.
No, I am. I know. I always think I could do more, though.
Of course.
But to give myself some credit and not to be too hard on myself.
You're doing something.
I'm only just a man trying to figure it all out as well.
You could be a man doing nothing, though.
No, it could,
be a man getting on with his own business, but here you are. You show up at the youth club. You're trying to do good. You're doing talks down at the college. You're doing talks down at the college.
Are we not allowed to say sort of the location?
We don't really want to dock stuff.
No.
I mean, but you're not doing nothing, man. You are doing something.
And that's why I'm here. You know, that's what it's all about.
So a lot of what I'm kind of thinking and hearing is that somebody who would be going down that way is very much kind of enveloped in their own head. They exist not by their choice, but by circumstance in their own mind. Like they're trapped, they can't get out, they're suffering inside themselves, they're existing within themselves, and it's hell.
Yeah.
How important would you say being a part of the world and the community around you? Because you said go to Spain, go for a hike, go speak to all of these people. How important is that community and being a part of the world around you?
Extremely important. Yeah. I mean, what I mean by, I'm not saying go to Spain, but what I'm saying is you just need to just be present and understand that you are here on Earth.
Yeah.
But I know this is not easy. I completely get it. You know, I remember people telling me when I was depressed, my doctor and stuff, and I'll just go for a walk. You know, it's not. I know it's not.
You want to tell them fuck off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, what? You go for a walk. I didn't want to be alive. And what are you on about?
Yeah.
No, I can. Yeah, I get that. I really do. I think it's just so. It's so difficult. I think it's just trying to exist outside the boundaries of your own mind.
Yeah. Because one thing after another, like it is compounding negatively as well. Like you get the positive compounds and the negative. You can suffer that 1% backwards. And with that, I think you withdraw into yourself and then you learn to adapt. You learn to exist within your own mind.
Yeah.
And that might not be getting any better.
I struggle with that a lot as well.
It is learning to kind of unspool yourself, get that. Well, I always thought of it as like a ball of wool or a ball of something in your head. It's all scrambled, it's all tied up, it's chaotic, there's no order. But over time, it's just unraveling it, pulling it out.
Yeah. You know, and it makes sense. You can then see the length of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you can see what it is, and 100%. Yeah.
I was going to say something. That was it. So, if you had, say, 3 bits of advice
for
somebody who's facing what you went through, what sort of things would you say? Doesn't have to be 3. What would you tell them?
I think, I mean, it's different for everyone, but what worked for me is just trying to understand my thoughts a little bit better. Why do I think like this? Why do I feel like this? Is it something to do with my past? The way I was treated by my parents or guardians or whoever? Did my teachers make me feel a certain way, and that's carried me through to my childhood? I think that's really important. If you're trying to fight this demon, you need to know how to tackle it, and you need to know its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, it's like knowing your enemy, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
The more you know them, particularly with these big scary demons, it kind of brings them back down to your size. They can be big and imposing, but the more you say, the more you turn around and look them in the eye and say, what are you about?
Yeah.
Why are you here? What are you doing? It kind of rationalizes and becomes less of a veiled figure which kind of looms over you.
Yeah.
So I definitely.
I think we also fear what we don't understand as well.
100%.
So that kind of
the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, 100%. I know it's very cheesy and cliche, but it's very true.
It's real.
If you kind of don't know what you're battling, a lot of people say depression. I think for me personally was a side effect of a lot of my childhood. And not feeling accepted within school. And I had depression because of that. And I think it's probably the same for a lot of people, is that they felt purposeless because of X, Y when I was 5.
Yeah.
Maybe the teacher at school said these things, so he made me feel stupid. I believe I'm stupid now, and that makes me depressed. I think a lot of it is, there is some sort of root cause that you carry with you to adulthood, and then that just makes you feel rubbish. And I'm not surprised that makes you feel rubbish. I'm not surprised that made me feel rubbish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the first thing would be to study it, figure out maybe, when do I get anxious or when do I feel sad? What are my triggers?
I think you mentioned a moment ago, following that path to its root.
Yeah.
Where's it coming from?
Yeah, 100%.
Where does it all lead back to?
It doesn't mean you have to start messaging your old teacher and saying like,
"Hey, listen, why do you speak to me like that?"
No, not at all. But it just means at least you have a level of understanding.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really helped me as well, going back to before we started this, was talking about everything. What's it called? Everything is Fucked by Mark Manson. Yeah. Brilliant book, and it talks about the thinking brain and the feeling brain and how they kind of interact. Same with the chimp paradox, that book as well. It talks a lot about that. I'd highly recommend giving that a read for anyone that's really struggling, because it talks about the sort of feeling brain, which is where depression kind of resides, where you do things impulsively, driven by sort of fight or flight. Your thinking brain, which is very there's a lot of methodology.
Yeah.
Right? And very, directional.
Calculated.
Yeah. And how they kind of interact. And a lot of my life, I've been going with the feeling brain a lot. I've always been very impulsive. That's why I've had so many jobs, because if someone upsets me, I feel angry, I'll just leave. I never thought, and then a week later, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. And the thinking brain's like, oh, why did you do that, Brandon? Why did you do that? Then I'm going back to driving myself with the feeling brain and saying hurtful things, spare of the moment kind of things. And I think that is every time I have that kind of internal voice, like a lot of people do, that tells me I'm not good enough. You can't do this. You're stupid. Why'd you do that? Maybe you deserve that. I try and tackle that with that thinking brain and say, okay, Brandon, no, you were doing really well. Look, so I do this in my head. You're doing that well. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing much better than you were 5 years ago.
And if you did make a mistake, is it the end of the world?
Yeah.
What can you learn?
Probably
from
not. Yeah. So I think that was really important. Just trying to make a conscious effort to tackle that demon in the best way you can, not let it consume you as much.
Yeah.
And I think also just listening, you know, obviously speaking to people is really important, but also just, again, researching the demon, but listening to some podcasts, you know. I know there's a lot of, like we were saying, like this one.
Listen, you hear that?
Yeah.
Listen to some podcasts.
There's a lot of great content out there.
Yeah.
One I listen to at the moment is Chris Williamson. There was a podcast called Modern Wisdom, and it's just really, really interesting, fascinating. And you also find out that you're not the only one.
Oh my God.
That's going through these feelings and thoughts, and that is very comforting, that idea.
Yeah, it gives you that security that in this world full of billions of people, like one of the things I've been saying on one of the other episodes of the podcast is your circumstances, your issues, the way that you feel, the way you think can be so unique that you feel so isolated. But just knowing that there's someone else out there who might be going through a similar kind of thing gives you that reassurance, makes you feel a part of the world rather than completely isolated from it. Yeah,
that's exactly why I do this kind of stuff, because I get what that's like, that part of your life. Yeah. Like what you're going through right now, I get that. But I'm also here to show you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Because I'm standing right here. I'm doing these things, you know. I never thought I'd even go to uni. I left school with no GCSEs. And I really always wanted to push myself to go to uni. I'm final year now, I'm graduating next year. You know?
How's it feel?
Amazing. Yeah. I'm not very proud of myself a lot of the time. But looking back to sort of 5 years ago, when I was doing a job I hated and working a lot and didn't have a lot of money a lot of the time, you know, wasn't very fulfilled by anything I did. I had a lot of mates. To now, you know, where I've done these events, I'm on this podcast, I run a guest house at the weekends, I'm at uni, I do volunteering, I did a bit of voluntary work for Mind. You know, this kind of, you know, that difference is amazing. I'm here to show you that in 5 years, everything can change.
Night and day. I'm like that. People have been, I turned 25 not long ago. People are like, you're halfway to 50.
Oh, God.
I don't have time for that. No. The way I see it is 5 years ago, look at where I was. Look at how less of an individual that I was, and say what you want. But look at where I am now. Think of where I could be in 5 years' time. Give me another one of them. See what I can do with it.
I don't think that ever stops. I will never stop learning until my brain just doesn't work.
A student.
Yeah. It was very important to have that outlook, and you know, never stop taking things that you like about people and saying, I really like that guy. You know, I like his style actually. I like his scarf. I'm gonna go buy one of those scarves. Always learning. You know, I want to learn a new language. I'm learning French at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just because it's just something, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's something different. Something that you never thought you'd be doing.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's fun.
Why not?
You know what I'm saying? It's good.
Actually. Okay, so what's that number 3? Overthinking. Big one. Okay.
Some H2O.
Your mouth dries up, doesn't it?
Yeah. I used to notice that when I used to work in restaurants. When I used to work in a pub and you're speaking to people all day and you'd get to the end of your shift and you'd be like, I had no water in your mouth.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about overthinking.
Yeah.
So walk me through the process of what happens when you overthink.
So a lot of it, I'm a chronic overthinker. Like a lot of that's because I like to people please.
Okay.
I very much like to keep everyone happy. So if I say something that I think might have upset them, they might not have even noticed what I've said or heard me, but I think about that for years. Yeah. You know, I have it a lot where those shower thoughts, you know.
Yeah.
Think about in the shower, I think, why did I say that?
Shower regrets.
Yeah. Yes. But the overthinking as well is, for me, was thinking of scenarios in my head. So I'm coming to do this podcast. I was thinking on the train up here.
Yeah.
What if I say this? What if I'm looking like this in the camera? What if this? And what if that? And what if the train just breaks down and explodes? And it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. But it's still occupying your mind.
Yeah.
still playing it out. It's like a self-defense mechanism. If this were to unfold, how would I deal with it? And you're never really focused on the resolution, just shit, this could happen. Fuck, what would I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, they teach that in children's psychology. It's how they teach children about anxiety.
Right.
They call it invisible tigers.
Okay.
So they tell these children anxiety is like there's an invisible tiger hidden around the corner of the wall. You can't see it. You won't see it because it's invisible, but you're still worried about it being there. You won't ever know until you have a look around the corner and you find out that it doesn't exist.
That's interesting. Because overthinking, I think, anxiety and overthinking overlap a lot. I think again, like I said about depression, I think anxiety is,
it's like the overcompensation of thought and worry and care. But I think depression is the complete opposite. It's the complete void of all of that. It's the complete polar opposite. So the anxiety,
void.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, you're trying to think of every solution. You're trying to work out every equation, work out every possibility, potentiality, reality. Depression is nothing. What if?
That's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah. It's like
I think. Yeah, I like that.
Complete absence of care, of worry, of love, of everything. Everything's just blank.
I think depression and anxiety usually coincide as well quite a lot. Because I think when you're overthinking about a lot of these things, you never actually give yourself a chance to think.
Yeah.
Much like the room, your bedroom, if it's all dirty and there's clothes everywhere, and how can you process where stuff is? You know, that's why I have a tray for my keys and my wallet, because I know where that is then. And my key, okay, I'm not perfect. Yeah, I've got laundry on the floor, whatever. No, I'm 24, like, let me off. But at least I've got kind of a bit of a structure to what things is going on. And I think it's exactly the same as your mind. There's a lot of things going around, very anxious and overthinking about every possibility to every different scenario. And how on earth are you going to think about what you want to eat tonight? Yeah. You know, or what you enjoy doing, or what you want to do today.
I think with the depression, you don't have the fortitude or the resilience to kind of give yourself that leg up. If something goes bad, it's almost like it was meant to happen. It was going to happen. It was inevitable. This is what happens when you try.
Yeah.
You start climbing up the hill, you slip because it's wet, and you're fucked.
Yeah. And then I would instantly be like, oh, I deserve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and then 3 months later, I'd be thinking, oh, that was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know, the bloke walking his dog saw me and he was laughing. I'm so embarrassed. I'm never going to see that guy again.
Yeah.
Why am I embarrassed?
The amount of time it occupies you in your mind.
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous. So don't let it torture you.
Yeah, you even ask yourself, you're conscious of the fact it's there, it's lingering about, and you're like, why am I thinking about this? And you know that it's gone, it's part of history, but you're still, I don't know, there's something about it that you're not processing it. You're not moving on from it, because it's like looking yourself in the mirror and thinking, you're a dickhead, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's I think, questioning those thoughts as well when they come about and saying, maybe I wasn't this, maybe I
identify.
Very uncomfortable as well. It made me very uncomfortable because it felt like I shouldn't be doing it. My brain was kind of, after years of training, was trained to do that automatically and have that self-hatred automatically.
It becomes conditioned in that way, and that's how depression comes about, because it is like that negative 1%, always backwards and backwards and backwards. It compounds, it becomes the norm, and becomes your reality.
I think as soon as you start to question that, you kind of have a bit of a pushback.
Exactly. I mean, it won't start with pushing back. It's just keeping it where it is, saying, actually, hold on, before we go any further, forward or back, why is this happening? What's going on? Why am I thinking this way? Being aware, or at least bringing it into question, having that little bit of introspection or self-awareness it does develop into a massive tool against pushing back.
I mean, how I sort of started doing that was just trying to have perspective on things, even though it might make you uncomfortable. So, for example, the bus driver is really rude to you when you get on the bus. And you think, oh, what a knob.
Mm.
You might think, oh, I bet no one likes him. I bet he's a hated person. I think it's important to say, okay, well, maybe the bus driver's dog just died yesterday, or maybe the bus driver is going through some stuff as well. Really didn't want to get out of bed this morning, but he's got mouths to feed. I think it's very important to have perspective.
Yeah.
And then it also is a very important skill for yourself as well, for your mind. So when you're overthinking things, say, I don't know, something you've said to someone, you don't know if that's hurt their feelings. Or some random person you've slipped over and they've laughed at you, or whatever. It's important to say, oh yeah, that was a bit embarrassing, or maybe I have hurt their feelings, but maybe I haven't. And also, I'm not really going to see them again, and they probably won't be thinking about it. So let's just give myself a bit of a chance to forget about that, accept that I did that. Maybe I'll try not to fall over again.
Yeah.
Or I should try not to say some hurtful things again. But let's just accept that I've done that now, it's in the past, and let's just move on from that.
Because it's almost like you're treating it as final. Like you've laughed at it, you've fucked up, you've messed up. And now that's like a brand that you have to wear on yourself, knowing that you did this poor, horrible thing. Yeah. However minor it may be, that's something like something that I keep thinking about is flagellation.
What is that?
In history, you got the people who roam the countries whipping themselves on the back with their Bibles. That's flagellation.
Right.
You're just walking around punishing yourself for something that you've done because you deserve it, because you think it's the only way that you can find peace is if you... It's an interesting word that's been floating around.
That's very metaphorical to something we do in our brains now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is that.
Flagellation is quite a fun word as well.
It is. Yeah, the thinking that you deserve it, or that this is what you should be doing, and it's the only productive way of moving forward to punish yourself for something that you did however long ago. How do you shut out the noise?
How do I shut out the noise? Okay. I've always been a gamer. Yeah. Right, I've always played a lot of video games. As a kid, sort of teenager as well, I was probably borderline addicted to playing video games.
Yeah, cool.
And I think a lot of that was to distract myself from that noise.
Escapism.
Yeah. I think every moment I wasn't on that video game, I was overthinking, and I felt like crap.
You were back in that world that you didn't know where you belonged, or you didn't know you were a part of.
Yeah. So I don't play as much now. I probably play once every 2 weeks, but when I do now, I can play for a few hours and I'm done. Pretty much. I don't use it as an escapism now, because I kind of battled that demon head on, and tried to really tackle it. And I think I deal with the noise in different ways. Being present is a much more healthier alternative to shooting people on Call of Duty for 8 hours a day. So I think being present is really important. Yeah. Just when you're brushing, you can do it any time. When you're brushing your teeth, you go out for a walk. Just when you're eating food, feel out the temperature of it, how it tastes, and just look around and be like, "This is cool." Humans have just made my microwave curry that I've put in the microwave, invented by humans. Just appreciate these little things, because it does make I know it sounds stupid and like philosophical, all that, but it's so important just to appreciate these little things. Going out for a walk, just being present, and not thinking about what you're doing and when the bus is coming, or just going out having a walk.
Not existing up here.
Yeah, and for no purpose. You don't have to walk to the shop. Around you. Just walk. Yeah. And if it's not that, then
completely aimlessly
sit in the garden. I love doing it in the mornings now. I've got my dog Boomer.
Boomer.
She's beautiful.
What's her name?
It's actually named after the OK Boomer meme.
Oh, really?
A few years ago, yeah. Said it to my auntie as a joke. She was like, "Yeah, I'll take it, Boomer." So she's beautiful. We just sat out in the garden in the morning, have a cup of coffee.
Love that.
And sit there, and you can just, just watching her is amazing, because she just looks around it. Then she can hear a bird, and
she's reacting to the world around her, not preoccupied.
Yeah, she's not thinking, oh, when am I going for a walk? And what if the walk's like 10 minutes, only 10 minutes?
She's just here.
She loves it.
Love that. Yeah.
Be like a dog.
Simple.
Yeah.
Easy going.
But don't poo on the floor or wee on the floor. That's bad.
Welcome to the Aaron Now podcast. Life advice.
Yeah.
So say you're overthinking.
Yeah.
You're getting caught up. You're getting flustered. How do you bring yourself back down to zero? Like, what are the steps that you would take to kind of just bring it down again?
For me personally, it's just giving myself a bit of time to chill. And not, because like I said, I put a lot of pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling like that, I'm thinking, okay, I need to go out and have a run then.
Yeah,
it's do loads of work.
Yeah, it's like you get yourself into a situation and that overthinking, you've got a plethora of answers and solutions, and you're like, oh, okay, go for one, go for the other, go for the other. But sometimes just
chill,
give it up.
Yeah, and this is why sometimes I like just playing video games or just watch a movie. Just give yourself a chance to relax and enjoy something. That just works for me personally. And as long as it's a distraction that's healthy, I don't think video games are an awful thing. I think if you can just sit there and have a good laugh and play with some mates, or I've met a lot. I'm going out this weekend to meet some blokes that I've met on video games.
That's cool.
We're all going out to have some pizza and go karting. And
how long you known them?
About a year. Yes, 3 lads.
Wicked, man.
Shout out to Brad, Russell, and Cam. Going up to them in London to go and see them. And that's great. So I think just giving yourself something you enjoy, maybe distract your brain just for an hour.
Letting go. That's been big for me this year, because where it was post-uni, I didn't have a job. Well, I did have a job, but it wasn't what I wanted. There were certain things that I wanted to do, I've got big aspirations. And each day I was kind of selling my today, sacrificing my today in the hope of paving a good stone to step on tomorrow. So every day I was sacrificing for tomorrow. And I thought about the kind of saying, the branch that doesn't bend with the wind breaks. And that kind of taught me to let go, because I was holding so tightly, so death grip tightly onto my future, onto making my future, that I had no appreciation for today, no appreciation for the moment. So as soon as I let go and let the branches sway in the wind, I was just, it literally felt like I'd woken up from something.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck me.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on. And stuff I can be a part of the moment. I can let go of this thing, which is important to me. But at the same time, being alive is important. Being here.
Because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
No. Nothing is.
I've had exactly the same kind of realisation recently. Probably 4 months ago. Really recently. I've always put a lot of pressure on myself to do well financially. Yeah. Be successful, maybe have my own business. Yeah. I've always put a lot of pressure on myself I want to have a nice house, a car, maybe 2 houses, one in Spain or whatever. I've been really driven for that my entire life. And I think I was watching, it was actually Chris Williams' podcast with a comedian. Maybe I'll send it over to you and people can have a look.
Please do. But, yeah.
What's his bloody name? Jimmy Carr.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool guy, fascinating guy. He was speaking about stuff, and I came to this realisation that I might, I'm going to die eventually. So am I going to spend my whole life trying to get money and be successful? And I could still be unhappy. So I sit down on my deathbed, telling my grandkids, I spent my entire life trying to chase, some physical, virtual little number in a bank account somewhere.
Chasing numbers.
Yeah, but I never succeeded, and that has been my whole life. Or do I sit down with them and say, yeah, I did some cool stuff as a kid.
You got stories.
Yeah, I never had much money.
Experiences.
But no, I went over, I'm going to go on holiday next year. Stuff like that, it's just...
Memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life has been lived.
Yeah. So what do I value more? And as soon as I had that realisation, it's changed a lot. A lot of that pressures, sort of that weight off your shoulders. Okay. So we're going to be all right, you know?
One of the first quotes that really kind of stuck out to me was in a theology and ethics lesson.
Okay.
And it was, just because you're alive doesn't mean that you're living.
Yes.
I was like, fuck. Right. That was like 13-year-old.
Deep lessons. Yeah.
We moved completely on from that, but I just thought I had to write that down.
That's cool.
It's taken me fucking years. I'm getting there, but live. Such a difference between waking up every day, meeting the end of the day, and actually doing something, being alive, smelling the flowers, being present.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, this is it.
So we are just back from a quick break, and our producer Adam had an excellent question. So, seeing as though you're an overthinker, talk to me about the relationship of being an overthinker and this idea of the thinking brain and the feeling brain.
So, overthinking, I think, is chronically a feeling brain problem. So, overthinking is definitely driven by your feeling brain also. Because if your thinking brain was doing that, then you'd have the reasoning to say, okay, I don't actually know if that's going to happen. I don't know the outcome of this scenario. I don't know if this person's, I've hurt their feelings by what I've said. So I think it's, for me, what helps a lot is when I'm overthinking with my feeling brain, is to have my thinking brain and say, okay, look, let's just think about this for a second. So what am I overthinking about? Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do my assignment and get it in by 12:30 tomorrow, say, as an example. And then, okay, so what if I don't submit that? Then I'm going to fail uni. And then what am I going to do for work? Then how am I going to pay my bills if I'm not going to uni? And I'm not, and then you start to spiral and then just think, with your thinking brain, okay, right, what I'll do tonight is I'll do 4 hours of my assignment. I'll just get a good night's sleep and I'll wake up early and do that. Okay, what's the worst case? I don't submit it, or maybe I haven't run out of time. Well, then I'll speak to my lecturer and I'll see if I can get an extension. So just have a bit of thought process around these things you're overthinking, and just saying, okay, so if that's very step by step, if that's not going to work, then I'm going to do this. That's quite easy for that sort of things, but sometimes there is no solution like that. I often think about things that I've said to people years ago, 2017, and I think, oh, why did I say that? That must have really hurt their feelings. I wonder if I say that a lot now. I wonder if I behave like that now. And I think in that regard, use your thinking brain in a different way and say, that was in the past. I know that I shouldn't have said those things that might have been hurtful to them. I'm going to make sure I don't do those things again now. Now I'm in control of my future. And just don't be so... I'm very, as I said, very hard on myself. So I punish myself for a lot of things that maybe some of my behaviours in the past. I think just giving yourself a bit of credit and a bit of slack sometimes when it's due. It's really important.
We make mistakes.
We all do.
And we're allowed to make mistakes.
Part of being human,
Exactly. Yeah. It's quite paradoxical, isn't it, that overthinking is driven by the feeling brain. Because you would think it would be part of the thinking brain, but it's not rational thinking.
No.
It's also that overthinking is motivated and driven by fear. It's driven by the anxiety and
of not knowing something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a very interesting point, that it is the other way around. The wires have crossed somewhere, and it's not coming from a place of rationality, of rational thinking, but it's driven by that emotion, that feeling brain.
I mean, I'll be completely honest. I still have quite a bit of anxiety, especially in sort of social scenarios. And when I go into uni, my heart rate goes right up.
Yeah.
Now every day it does that. And that is, I think, the fear of the judgment of others. So maybe I'm wearing a certain outfit that I don't feel comfortable in, or I'm trying on some new clothes, whatever it is, or maybe I haven't had a haircut or whatever, right? I know it sounds stupid, but I know a lot of people could probably relate to this.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be some massive thing that everyone's going to notice. It can just be things that you're aware of.
Yeah. And then I think, I bet everyone's probably looking at me thinking, what is he wearing?
They can all see me.
Yeah. What's his haircut? No one's ever thinking that.
No.
Do you look at other people and think, what's he wearing? Look at his haircut.
That's the thing.
Never do.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Like, so say someone in your position who goes into uni who's more worried than anything about what other people are thinking about them. Everybody else is more than likely to be in the exact same boat.
Yeah,
everyone's so concerned about what other people are thinking about them that they will never take notice of what a guy walking through the door is looking at, or the person sat over there on the bench is doing, thinking, or saying. So
what I try and do now, and I know it sounds silly as well, is just my little things I do. I don't often speak about. Is when I walk into a room, I don't look at people. Because what I would do a lot of the time is scan the room and look at who's looking at me.
Yeah.
Are they looking at my face? Are they laughing? I struggle with that a lot as well. A big group of people, they laugh. Oh my God, are they laughing at me? No, they're not. Someone's just told a cracking joke. And so I walk into a room and I don't look at people, and then that gives me a lot of comfort because I don't care what you think of me, whether I'm wearing a stupid thing or my hair. I haven't got a haircut in a month. I used to get a skin fade every week.
Really?
This is another thing. Yeah. It's just a little thing. I'm just not going to get my hair cut. I quite like it as well, going for
it's rugged.
Yeah. But it's just like, there's a comfort in that as well.
Yeah, and not, occupying your mind, your time, your feelings with what other people think.
Yeah, I don't care.
You can't control that.
No. And 99% of the time, they don't
give a shit.
Yeah. And even if they do, why do you care?
Yeah, what's it to you?
Well, you got a bad haircut, Brandon. Okay. I haven't had it kind of like a month. Yeah.
Like, one of the reasons why I don't really like going to the gym, like the lifty weight gym, is because every time that I went, it felt like you were walking into a room where every single individual in that room was there for everybody else and not themselves. Everybody felt so concerned with what people in the gym were thinking, what their friends were thinking of them, or what social media was thinking of them. No one was really there for themselves. No one was there to work on themselves.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of the gym. I thought, why waste your time like that?
No. Yeah, you go on the treadmill and people are looking around.
Yeah.
Who's looking at me? Am I running weird?
No, it's been so liberating just kind of cracking on with your business, not concerning yourself with the thoughts of others. It's been difficult. I will say it's been fucking difficult recently with the podcast going public. It's kind of hard not to when other people are looking at your face, talking about your feelings.
You also probably overanalyze what you say and maybe your face and the way you look. You probably do it a lot more than, because I looked at that little clip you sent me. Well, it's brilliant. Very well.
Yeah.
I've showed that so many people. It's just so well. I think it's a reel on the Instagram page now, right?
Yeah.
So I've sent that to so many people because it's very well produced, but I'm sure you looked at that and thought, oh, what's that in the background?
Well, yeah, the thing is, it's not anything new. It's not these new questions. It's just because the circumstances are new, because this is something that I've never done before. Those kind of little mental hurdles that I once conquered are being brought up in a new context. So I've got to go over them all again. Doesn't matter what people think of me. It doesn't matter how I'm look. I know why I'm doing this. It doesn't fucking matter if I've got a weird, funny twitch in my face or I look a certain way.
There's a lot of people do, and I never know.
Yeah. People don't give a shit about that. No, they might do, but if they do, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
I'm sure I'm going to look back on this podcast and be like, Brandon, your eye bags are horrendous.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I had a bit more of a extra sleep this morning. I was pretty tired. but again, I'm going to watch the whole thing and give myself, try and not judge myself and be a bit easy on myself.
Look beyond what the face value of it is, and that's the important part, I reckon. I didn't want to look back on the footage that we were making the episodes, but I think that it's a bit irresponsible if I don't watch the thing that I'm creating and have some kind of opinion on them, like the meta analysis of what's going out and what the people are seeing and what they're receiving. Then what's that for? Because I don't want to look at myself.
No, yeah.
That's something I've got to get over in myself.
It's funny. I was just saying to these two that in January, before I had that event, I went on BBC Radio Solent to do sort of like a little interview before that.
Yeah.
And I've still not listened to that clip.
Yeah.
Because of the fear that I will listen to it and be like, oh, you sound like an idiot. So maybe tomorrow I'll text you and say I'll listen to the interview again. And I did all right. I did the best I could do. And I think it's exactly the same for you, isn't it? It's quite a hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, you're showing up and doing the best that you can, but you don't want to finish it and then be like, oh, wow, glad that's a complete part of history.
Yeah.
In the catalogues.
Yeah. I think it's difficult as a creative, though, because you've got to, especially in what I do in sort of software engineering, and you can't, it's important to look back on your old stuff and take, okay, I could have done that better and I could have done that better, but not beat yourself up about it, because you're never going to get it right.
Take something away from it that you can move forward with. Yeah. I like to try and live by, like, it's okay to make a mistake, but try not to make it twice.
Yeah, 100%.
Take something from it, learn from it, grow from it, and if you do it again, you're an
idiot.
Yeah, bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Okay. Self-perception. So we've already talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
So how has your self-perception evolved? Like, are there points at which you can say, at this time in my life, this is how I saw myself, and like, walk me through how it has changed within you?
I think a real important thing that's happened over the few years is what I value and my values as a person.
Yeah.
And trying to discover those. So I often had an idea of who I am in my head, and that might have been influenced by what people say. And, they absolutely. All kind of, I tried to get who I am by what people wanted me to be. It's a lot of pressure. And you also never feel comfortable in your own skin.
No,
because you're just trying to appeal to...
It's using someone else's metric of what you're like. Yeah.
So, I mean, really just sitting down, like I said earlier about wanting to be rich and successful. And do I actually want that? Is that what I value in life? Having that hard conversation with yourself and saying, what if I don't want that? And what if I just go and live in like a hut in Hawaii and, I'm self-sustained? Is that what I want to do? It's quite an extreme example, but these are the questions you need to ask. Is what do I want? Again, very cliche, but very important. I lived a lot of my, teenage years and young adulthood. I'm still young now, but you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Trying to figure out how I can sort of please everyone else and what would they want me to do? Would my family want me to be successful? How can I do that? And what I've had now, which is just bring me a lot of great happiness as well, is just, what do I want to do? I think my perception of myself's definitely changed. I still do struggle with myself a lot. So I could have done that better. A lot of the time as well, growing up, I'd often like walk past cars and look at myself in the windows and think,
still do that.
Yeah, I think, oh, you look stupid today.
Yeah,
those trousers look stupid. This and that. And I've often hated growing up my appearance or, maybe my height or my weight or whatever. But I think now where I've tried to love myself a little bit more, and have a bit of, sort of give myself a bit of slack.
Also respecting yourself.
Yeah, and understanding your values. This is what I think that's very, very important. Just some core things.
It creates like a foundation that, I know it's, again, a little bit cliche, but a foundation from which you can grow upon. And it's not always necessarily that growth. It's understanding what your values are. They're the baseline of what makes you happy. Yeah, you can balance and you can have balance. You can have that moderation. One of the things that I love is everything in moderation, including moderation. So live, do things in balance, but every now and then, fuck it. Go wild, go crazy.
It's 100% there.
You still have that thing that you can come back to, which makes you happy, gives you gratification, purpose, direction. You know what it is. It's that knowing again, isn't it? Instead of being aimless, you have something in you that comes from deep within. That makes you happy, gives you something to strive towards. I think,
I'm not, that isn't, with me, that idea of wanting to be successful and pushing myself every day to learn these new things, and in order to maybe be financially free or any of that. Is that really me? Or am I just seeing guys on the internet doing it and saying,
is that end goal? Is that going to give me what?
Is that actually going to make me happy? Just think about that for a second. Maybe it does for some people. Maybe when they've got money, then they feel financially stable, and then that's when they're happy. I don't think that's the same I don't think that's the truth for a lot of people now. When I had that realization, I'd say, if I just spent my entire life doing cool stuff and just trying to be happy, that's an awesome life. I'm not taking anything with me. I'll be forgotten about in 3 generations anyway, potentially. So, just living my little time on this earth, that little window of opportunity, just to try and do some cool stuff that I want to do.
Do it your way.
Yeah, not trying to impress people.
You're Brandon.
Yeah, I'm Brandon. I'm going to just do some stuff. Tell some stupid jokes.
Live Brandon's life.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I can't just start doing what people expect me to do.
That's a good answer. How do you talk to yourself?
Okay. I don't often do it. I'm not a sort of affirmations in the mirror type guy. So I sit there and look in the mirror and say it. But as I've mentioned, often I'm very hard on myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do well. I'm very much a perfectionist. Which, from what I gather, you're probably quite similar. So I'm very much like that. I'm sort of chronic in that way.
You want to do everything to the best of your ability.
Yeah. And if it's not the best, then I'm not happy.
It's like an injustice to yourself. Injustice to yourself.
That's why I hated art a lot. Drawing.
Because it doesn't give you that definitive.
I'd rather do maths than that any day at school.
You can be told that you're right in doing maths, all wrong. But with art, it's it's interesting.
What you're doing there. I don't like it.
I don't like it, but
his nose looks stupid. But it's just. I can't remember where I was at. I think just trying now to make a conscious effort just to be a bit more easy myself.
Be kinder to yourself.
And I'm not going to do anything perfectly. No one ever does. And that's okay.
I like to say that perfection is an ideal, but not a goal, not an achievable goal. Because I couldn't tell you a single thing in this existence that is perfect.
No.
Nothing's meant to be.
And that's what's beautiful about life, though.
100%.
How's boring that? Like how boring life is. If everything's just perfect.
It's meant to be the way that it is.
There's no pub fights. Everyone just goes in there, gets a San Miguel. Hi there. Yep. See you later.
No one gets rowdy. Everyone sits down.
And there's no bouncers. You know what I mean?
I love that.
That's what it is, though. That's like those, again, very cliche, but those imperfections is what makes life so cool. You never know what's going to happen. Otherwise we'd all be in.
How would you ever learn from anything if mistakes weren't made?
It'd be like The Truman Show. Have you ever watched that? Brilliant film.
Fucking boring. Like a boring existence to live. And even he's like, something's not right. This ain't right because
everything's perfect.
It's not meant to go swimmingly.
No,
If everything was perfect, we'd be so stagnant. We'd just
boring,
be
though.
Just living. Well, not living, but we'd just be existing.
And what would social media be like? There'd be no like people falling over or but you've been framed, but everyone's doing things perfectly. What? Just you've been framed, but someone's doing a perfect human portrait.
That's
nice. My God, that sounds awful.
No, we've got to make mistakes.
It's
been a difficult one, but like learning to embrace mistakes as well. because it is an opportunity for growth.
Yeah. I think there's two ways you can go about it. You can either punish yourself for not being perfect, or you can sit there and say, okay, that part wasn't perfect. What can I do to get better at that?
Yeah. And yeah, for me, accepting that I will never be perfect. I mean, sure, now that I have a better understanding of it, I don't want to be perfect. But knowing that this thing that I once wanted to strive for isn't all that. It's not, the reality of it isn't quite as glamorous as I thought it was, because it would be fucking boring.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. I have a lot of that in what I do in sort of software engineering. There's a lot of things to learn. And I struggled with that a lot as well, because I want to be excellent at all of the programming and all these different. That's just not possible. I've been doing this sort of coding and programming and learning about all these things for 8 years. I probably know less than 1% of what there is to know, and I will never learn everything. So that is also quite comforting as well. Like, I'm doing the best I can do. I'm putting the work in that I need to just to achieve uni. And obviously, it is important to have a balance, like you said, between being like, yeah, I'm so chill. I'm just being. You've got to have discipline. If I want to do this degree, I know I need to do the work, so I can't sit there playing video games all the time. Yeah. But also, it's unhealthy to sit there doing work for 12 hours a day, not going out, not seeing friends. Yeah. There is the balance. But, in this field of work, in sort of software engineering, computer science, it's very daunting, the amount of stuff you can learn. Yeah.
It's got to be that step by step, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Not take it one step at a time, but don't look at the top of the mountain. Just keep moving forward.
100%.
Okay. I mean, we've spoken a little bit about this one, but do you compare yourself to others?
Yeah, a lot. Mainly in an unhealthy way. I think a lot of people do that. And I think really the comparison of yourself to others is fairly unhealthy anyway. Yeah. I think there's probably different aspects of it. I mean, okay, for example, there's a cool story. There's a guy that used to bully me in school called Jack. I won't say his last name. But he used to bully the shit out of me in playgrounds, and he was a taller lad anyway. I've always been short. And he had a lot of drama with him, a lot of school meetings. He used to just beat me, And I remember a few years ago, I was walking around town. I'd had a few beers with mates. My little brother, actually. Went out for a few drinks, and I was walking down the high street, and a guy comes up to me from behind. He says, "Oh, sorry, mate, have you got a fiver?" I turned around, and it's Jack. My school bully. He's homeless. And he's just asked me for some change. I think there's, obviously you do make a comparison, but I think there is a certain level you do. I think the healthy way for me to do it would be, look, I don't have a fiver at the moment. You did used to bully me in school, but people make the wrong decisions in life. I don't know what his parents were doing. I'm sure if he had the opportunity to go and do well in life and do stuff, he would have made those decisions. Some people don't get those opportunities. So I can't blame him for that. The other alternative is I say, no, mate, you used to bully me in school. You were horrible to me. You deserve this. For me personally, I do compare myself to a lot less now, but I definitely did growing up. Yeah.
It's difficult too, particularly with like social media. And in that school environment where everybody's kind of growing up and doing the same kind of things, but you're just surrounded by peers and people who are doing well and people who are doing others, and everybody's so different that it's like, where do I sit with amongst us all? And then you kind of have to get a bit of an understanding of whereabouts am I within this picture, look to comparisons.
I think nowadays you're definitely exposed to a lot more people that look like they've got their shit together with social media and stuff. So you've got a lot more exposure to that and not people not doing great, which is why this is beautiful, this podcast, because I can come here and say, no, I'm not perfect. I have struggled. I still struggle, but this is it. So you're not alone if you're not bloody Andrew Tate and Bugattis and flying around helicopter. that's not reality.
No, he has shit days as well.
Yeah, of course he does. I'm sure he just goes home and like cries every evening. He's like, don't know how long I can put this act up for.
Yeah.
Takes his spaghetti back to the rental place, and
all these people that put their best foot forwards, they have to go to the toilet. They fall over.
Yeah, you don't put that on social media.
Yeah, I hope not. Yeah, they lose shit all the time. They're just as fallible as us, but we never get exposed to that, and so we create this perception that is their life, because everything that we're seeing about them is so picture perfect, and
no, 100%. Yeah, I think that, it's so difficult. That's why I don't use a lot of social media. I just have Instagram.
Try to stay off it as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't have Facebook or Snapchat or.
Because again, it's just consuming yourself with the lives of other people. And if you're not comparing yourself to other people, then you're involving yourself in the things that they're doing and the things that they're a part of. And that's time away from doing you.
I think that's where, I speak to you about my values and discovering who I am.
Yeah.
It's very easy to latch onto ideas and steal other people's values.
Yeah.
And not figure out what you value as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think what we've got now is we've got people, so say, I don't know, some influencer has certain values and then all of his followers will also have those values. I think, and that is so dangerous because then everyone's the same.
It's just a proxy of this person.
Yeah, and then you never feel like yourself because you're just trying to be someone else all the time that's online that you'll never meet, ever. That doesn't even know you exist. And you're just trying to be that guy because, why? Just be yourself.
Live for finding out who you are.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like me sometimes. I don't really care. I know that I'm doing the best I can. And if you're not, you don't kind of vibe with that, and I completely get that. That's absolutely fine.
It's not a finished product either.
No,
still working on it.
Neither are they.
Yeah,
I
mean, they're not perfect. Neither am I, but we're trying.
No, and if we don't get along, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to get along with everyone in the world. So I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. I'm just not going to hang out with you. We're going to have conversations.
Yeah,
that's also fine. But if I can sit down and say to someone that I know that I'm doing the best I can. I know my values. I know I want to be respectful to who I speak to. Then I'm fine with that when I'm happy.
That's all you can really do, isn't it? And if it's being able to say to yourself and know for certain within yourself that you're doing the best that you can, it takes a lot of the pressure off of things. Because you can't achieve the world overnight.
No.
You can't do all of your dreams. You have to appreciate that it will take time. But being able to say to yourself, okay, I did what I could today. Tomorrow I'm going to try again. But for now, I've done what I can.
Yeah, you've done well. And if you're in that state where you are depressed and struggle to get out of bed in the morning, if the only thing you do in that morning is make your bed, or even make yourself a cup of tea, or get a glass of water in the morning, and you weren't doing that before, give yourself a pat on the back. Because you're also doing a lot more than you were. Even if that's a stupid little thing, again, these 1%.
Yeah.
Just getting a bit of getting hydrated in the morning.
Yeah, recognising the smaller, seemingly insignificant steps are absolutely crucial to making the bigger ones happen, I think. Because it is that momentum. It is that building from nothing.
Yeah.
Baby steps to something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's still better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Even if you just make your bed for a year. You're still doing better than you were for the past 3 years. So.
Talk to me about your relationship with vices.
So I've always latched onto stuff basically that would make me feel better. So it was gaming for a lot of the years. It was escapism. I'd get to a point where if I couldn't game, like my stepdad would turn the internet off because I'd be staying up all night. I remember that time I'd go nuts because then I'd have to deal with my thoughts, right? After that, luckily I'm not a big drinker myself, but I struggled a lot with problem gambling.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm about a year and a half off now, off a bet. I had a lot of that growing up. I probably started up when I was 16 on these stupid websites to do with gaming kind of websites where you bet. And then that lockdown 2020 was awful. Suddenly I had nothing to do, but I was still getting paid from furlough, so I had access to money that I didn't just have to spend.
Yeah, but you could, so.
Yeah. So it was bad, and gambling's funny. I've really got attached to it because it's such a roller coaster of emotions, and you can kind of absorb yourself into it for 10 hours sometimes, not thinking about anything else. Obviously, the only downside is when I did run out of money, which I always did, which is why I was a gambling addict. You know what I mean? But you'd get, you just felt awful. You'd have no money for months, a month or so.
But you come back to it.
Yeah, and then you get paid again, and I'd spend it within 5 hours. Or the whole thing, 800 quid or whatever.
Really?
It's gone. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's bad. So yeah, I ended up going to an anonymous group.
Yeah.
I had my year it was 28th of August was my year off. Yeah. So I've definitely tried to latch on to things like that a lot in my life, whether it's gaming, gambling. Now I think I'm happy to say, apart from my nicotine, so I do vape. I did smoke a lot as well, cigarettes. And in my head, I think I comfort myself by saying, "Oh, it's just the one little naughty thing that I have." Really long term, I want to quit.
Yeah.
And when I'm ready to do so, I will.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was like, what? So you spoke about kicking your gambling habit, but like you mentioned about vaping. It's not the worst thing in the world to have something, because it doesn't have a control over you, does it?
Well, I would say vaping does for me. Yeah. And the same as cigarettes. I think anything like that has some sort of level of control over you, it's probably a bad thing. Whether that's drink or whatever that is. So I think it's, eventually I will stop vaping. I know it's bad for me anyway. And for my fitness, I like to go running quite a bit. So I struggle with running because of sort of the nicotine and not the nicotine necessarily, but everything that comes with it. The vape, the smoke and all that.
I get that from training. Like, if I go out for a weekend, have a couple ciggies when I'm drinking. I don't smoke regularly, but I'm a bit of a social smoker. Come Monday training, fucking puffing up, man.
Yeah, it really affects you, doesn't it? Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to say, "Oh, I only do it. I don't do it a lot. I do low nicotine, or I vape. It's better than smoking." I mean, really, in an ideal world, it's probably better to have nothing. But if that's the only thing that's trying to keep you going, then you do it.
And that's the stuff that keeps ticking over, though, isn't it?
As long as it's fairly healthy. I wouldn't say to people, if people are gambling addicts, I wouldn't say, "No, yeah, but you don't smoke or drink." So, well, no, you need to seek help. I think a lot of these things are definitely escapisms. Maybe not so nicotine and smoking.
Yeah, it's taking a break from something, isn't it?
Yeah, whether that's good or bad. You could probably replace a lot of these things with good things. So if you went to the gym for 2 hours, and for some people that'll work, or I don't know, if you went and read a book or watched a movie for 2 hours, that's quite a good escapism. That's better than sitting there spending 800 quid in some online casino.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a good escapism.
Okay. So I think we've covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about, and growth just kind of throughout the podcast, because that's basically going how you got to that point. So is it all right if we go on to the next bit?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. So give me an overview of your life now and your well-being, given everything that we've spoken about. How are you doing today?
Okay, so a lot of my day, I'm very structured. So a lot of my day is structured. I sort of follow a certain routine in the morning. And that's not me getting up at 5 a.m. going for a run, but that's me getting up at a sensible time. So that's 8, half 8. Having a shower, making my bed. I take care of my face. I've got some stuff on my face, bit of self-care and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, talking about that momentum, that kind of then sets me up for the day. Okay, I've done all these things. What should we do now? So I'm studying on that as well, which helps. It gives me a bit of stuff to do. I very much, I have a lot of these thoughts and I try and combat them. I have them every day. I have them on the train up here. I have them all the time. Right. So I do try and, say to myself, if something happens, try and combat that with the thinking brain. A lot of often the feeling brain will say, "Oh, you're an idiot." And your thinking brain is to say, "Okay, calm down for a sec. It's not the end of the world. You're just feeling this way because in your past this happened and it made you feel. You don't have to react like that anymore. So let's just take a breather, move on."
It's become quite a tool in your arsenal, hasn't it?
Yeah. I think those kind of things really help. But I don't think I'm never going to have years where I'm not happy. No one ever does, right? So I still have my low days.
I've accepted that. More than likely, it will be a part of me for the rest of my life.
That's okay.
And that's something that you can deal with because you've built up these tools, these resiliences, these defense mechanisms, and you can handle it. And that's something, that's a badge to wear.
Yeah, and it's quite comforting as well, thinking that I'm never going to be happy 100% of the time every day, every year. So I'm just living now, and maybe I might feel rubbish in a couple of weeks, and when that time comes, I'll say, "Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I have been working quite hard at the moment. Let's just have a lazy day. I'll play some video games. I'll watch a movie. It's all some dominoes." If that, and that's okay. Again, bringing it back, I put a lot of pressure on myself to always be 100%. And this is why I've been thinking about this podcast and what I sort of want to say.
Yeah.
And this is why now I'm trying to be as authentic and original as possible on who I am.
Yeah, not forcing it.
Yeah, not say, I struggled at the event because I think I came across that I had my shit together. No one does. Yeah, right. And I felt wrong saying that, I was depressed here and now I'm better and I'm doing all these things. That's not how it works, right? I still have, weeks where I don't feel great. But I think, but that's okay as well. You're allowed to feel rubbish sometimes. Everyone does. So, yeah, day to day, I try and be a nice person. Do stuff for people as well.
Yeah.
If there's like a homeless guy that I haven't got any money, mate, but how's your day been?
Yeah.
Have a talk to people.
If you're so contained up here, doing something for somebody else is magic.
Yeah, you don't have to go up to a homeless guy and say, like, "I'm so depressed." Just talk to him about his day. That's one thing that's been a really powerful thing.
Yeah,
is like helping others. So again, it gives you a bit of purpose as well, which I think is very important. But just doing things for others,
it's selfless. Like the essence of charity. I can't remember who. I think it's the Hebrew belief of it, but the essence of charity is to give and not expect anything returned in response. It's just doing things for somebody else because you want to do it.
Don't go and tell people, record it. Because just do it, because
it's cheating.
And it can be stupid things. An old lady drops her walking stick on the bus. "Oh, don't worry, dear, I'll get that for you." I know it's only little, but she wants to have a seat and she needs to have a seat on the train because she's, old and a bit frail. "Oh, you can have my seat, it's not a problem." You could do a stand-in anyway.
Yeah.
You're young, you got your legs.
Don't mind it.
So just stuff like that, and definitely does spread around the world.
Going out of your way.
I had a bus driver on, bus this morning. He's just singing on the bus.
Yeah.
Got on there, "Hello, mate, how you doing?" Just, if you can just do that a little bit more, at least pretend like, you're having a good day. It does spread around. It really does.
It's infectious.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
How do you manage day by day? Where are you going? What are your plans? What are you working towards?
Yeah, so I'm in final year uni now. So when I've done that, I'm definitely going to move away. I think I'm looking at moving up to London or even moving to America or the States or something. Something I wouldn't have ever dreamed of doing.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would just like to see a different part of the world, even if it is London. It's fairly different from here, isn't it? So move up there maybe. I'd like to do a lot of more things like this. Trying to give some of my wisdom that I've learned and have a platform where I can share that out to people. I mean, really, I'd love to start like a non-profit. You know, I've always dreamed about one day, like I was saying earlier, having a bunch of lads that are just so low and purposeless and hopeless. Like say, okay, lads, don't worry about work or uni or anything. We're all going to go to, I don't know, bloody Switzerland. We're all going to get some snowboards and we're all just going to have a cracking time. I don't have to think about anything. If I could do that, even if it was out of my own pocket, I really would love to do something like that. And show some of these people what life's all about and why it is worth sticking around for it.
You're optimistic about the future.
Because I'm lucky to be here today. I'm lucky to have the opportunity to live it. I'm a bit hungry there.
Would you say you're a grateful person? Or do you practice gratitude?
I don't think I practice gratitude, but I'm definitely grateful. Yeah, for the people I've got around me, 100%.
Yeah.
And having the opportunity to still be alive and exist. I'm very grateful for that. To my family, and to my mum, 100%. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I get that. Is to know why the things around you are so important, why they make you who you are, and what reasons. Why do you celebrate the things beyond yourself and the things within yourself?
Yeah.
You know, you've got so much that you've done to bring yourself to this point, and it was you that did it. It might have been with the help of somebody else, but it was you that did it.
It's all up there, you know. You're the only one that can do that up there, you know.
Absolutely.
So, I think when you are low as well, I think you probably lack a lot of gratitude.
To
the world and to the people around you.
Everything's so dark that you couldn't see the light if it was right in front of you.
I know that is hard, but you know, just thinking about, I'm very I love astrology and stuff. So like I've always said, you know, it could be the only thing in existence, you know, and also you as an individual, there's no one else that will be like you ever.
No.
There's never been anyone like you.
Yeah.
So you've got this small window of opportunity in time. That's just, you know,
and that perception of yourself can change.
Yeah, no, and it will. I promise that. You know, if you make the conscious effort just to make these little changes, make these 1%, it really will change.
It can go from the most daunting feeling in the world to a source of excitement.
And it is hard, you know. Yeah. It is daunting.
Oh, it takes a while, but
yeah, it does.
It's worth it. Well worth it. So, have you got any like parting words, lessons, advice that you could give to somebody who's listening who might need it?
God, on the spot. I think, just make a conscious effort to get better. You know, you are, again, like I said earlier, you are loved. You do make a difference to the world, even though it doesn't maybe feel like it right now. And there is people that appreciate you and like hanging out with you. And this is only just a small part of your life if you are experiencing these things now. And you've still got a long way, you know, a lot of memories that you can make along this journey. And just hang in there. You know, it does get better. You know, I've been there. I know what it's like going through these things and feeling like hopeless and like, what's the point of this? What's the point of this? Like all of this life, and why do we exist? It does get better, and you can, you know, I'll tell you more than anyone else that it does.
A message of hope.
100%.
Right, I think we've got the positive stuff now. Right. So you can take as much time as you want, or you can answer them as simply as you want.
Okay.
This is my raggedy bit of paper. So talk to me about what's your self-care. What do you do for you to make yourself feel better?
Just eat well. I like food. I like eating.
Yeah.
So eating different things, trying new foods. Just taking care of my body, my skin, and also my mind.
It's respect, isn't it?
Practicing this mindfulness and, you know, and trying to be nice to yourself when you can.
What's something that you're grateful for today?
probably my brother, Harrison.
Yeah.
He's always been there for me, makes me laugh. My younger brother, he's brilliant.
What brings you joy and happiness?
Socialising, a lot of my friends, spending time with them. Definitely meeting some of the goals that I've set out.
Yeah.
I want to go to uni, and now I'm at uni, and that brings me happiness.
It's the delayed things, isn't it? It's never the instant dopamine. It's the chasing that serotonin, giving yourself something to struggle for almost. Or something that you're excited for.
Graduation.
Yeah.
I think it's been a long time. As I said, I went to college like 4 times, dropped out.
4?
Went 3 times. On the 4th, I said to myself, let's just stick at this. Did an access course. Yeah, that was 4 years ago, and here I am. So
when's your graduation?
Next, will be in June really, but it'll be in November, the actual graduation. So very excited.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Tell me a couple of your helpful habits.
Making your bed, 1,000,000%. Mindful, doing things mindfully.
Yeah.
Brushing your teeth, eating your food, tasting
it's
it.
It's a skill, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it does take a while to learn. But don't just scoff your food down. Just eat it slowly. What does this taste like? What's the temperature comparison between the rice and the curry? What sort of texture? Is it sweet? Just think about these things and enjoy that moment.
What pulls you out of the darkness?
I'd like to say it's a lot of my friends and family. You know, I do speak to them. You know, I can't give myself all the credit. They do help an awful lot. When I need to phone them, they're always there. Especially my mum, she always seems to have the right things to say.
Yeah.
So.
Tell me some of the small things that really mean a lot.
Small things. Again, I think just looking around and just seeing like we've built all this stuff and it's cool. You know, just like going to a beach and just looking out on the sand and looking up into space as well and thinking we are just a point in this infinite universe and I'm just looking up at it. You know, those small stupid little things, but it's just cool. It's very grounding.
You said that you don't practice gratitude, but the amount of times that you said in this session, that's cool. I like that. That's cool. That's gratitude.
Okay, no, I think you are right. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think just looking at things and thinking that's cool.
What it is.
Yeah, I mean, I used to try and do it as a kid. I used to look like an egg. And being like, that's so cool, isn't it? Imagine just being born in like a little
It's not
egg.
Round, it's kind of ovally.
Like kind of round.
It's got stuff in it.
Yeah.
Came out of chicken's ass.
You can eat it, and it turns into a thing.
It turns into like 6 different things.
Yeah,
Depending on what you do with it.
Cakes wouldn't exist without eggs. I love cake. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me things that you're passionate about. What drives you forward?
Helping people, obviously. I love speaking to people and seeing their face light up. If I say something that really hits home to them.
Yeah.
And giving people hope.
I love that. And what are your outlets?
Friends and family, I think. And exercise. You know, I like running.
It's so good for clearing your mind. Do you run inside or out?
Outside. Much better. Yeah, not sitting on the treadmill. Yeah. I love it when it's raining and I don't want to go out, but I stick my shoes on. Yeah. And that moment when you're out there and it's a bit cold, but you just feel fucking like, yes, let's go.
What was it? Storm Kieran that we just had? I thought, come on, Kieran.
Oh yeah, come on, mate.
Show me
what you got.
Yeah, I love that.
Snow as well.
The worst conditions, like if there's ever a storm, I never feel more alive than running in the storm.
Yeah, I love it.
I respect that, man. I'm glad there's someone else that loves doing the stupid thing and running
sitting inside a warm gym. I'm out there.
Yeah, like come on.
Have you ever done like sea swimming? You go in the ocean and like.
No, I want to go down and do like up the laps around and then just kind of jump in.
Just jump in. Yeah. So manly.
God. I'd love to do it, but it's a bit cold. But it doesn't matter, does it? Yeah. I'll do it anyway. Yeah. When was the last time you cried?
Oh, probably last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what for. I think I was just having a tough day, but no, it wasn't. It was on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was last Saturday. I was at work. I was very tired, which didn't help, but just overwhelmed with a lot of stuff, and yeah. But it's also good. It's good to cry and get it out.
Oh, yes.
Such an outlet, you feel an awful lot better.
I think with the depression, you suppress and neglect so many of those emotions that they don't go anywhere. No. You still feel them. It's just they don't ever come up and out. They're bottled up and contained. So for me, every time that I feel something coming on, I'm like, oh, something's coming.
Yeah.
Chase it.
Yeah.
Chase it. Make
and
it
I know I need to cry now.
Get it out.
Yeah.
Because it's less that you're carrying within you. And I know, metaphorically it is what it is, but you're not carrying as much in you. There's less weighing you down. That emotion, getting out, you can be so cathartic. Brandon, I think that's all I've got for you.
Thank you very much for having me on. Brilliant.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, I'm sure you'll do well.
Yeah. Thank you for all of your time and for being so honest and open with us.
All welcome.
Maybe they'll be around too another time.
Yeah. But... Episode like 400 or something.
Back to
couple of years. 100%. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with us. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. This has been a Common Bird production.